Hey folks, Nick with Kognitos here again to go over some more of the Kognitos platform. So today we're back in the playgrounds. I wanted to show you more about templates. And there's a lot to go over here, so let's get started. So here you go into the playgrounds navigation on the nav bar, and then you're going to be presented with playgrounds and templates. Now, for the sake of expediency, I have gone ahead and created and run these processes ahead of time, so that we can step through them with relative quickness. But I'm going to show you how I got here in the first place. So if we go to templates, right now we have 4 templates here that are available to you. Each one of these serves as an example, so that you can get some more understanding of how we do commands within the bounds of Kognitos. And so I'm going to start with this image manipulation one because it is the smallest one. When I click it, what happens is it conjures a new playground, and immediately we have the text. The worker is ready, so let's get to it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run right away, and I know that it's going to hit an exception right away because it's going to say get the image, and it's going to say I need the image. Now, right now, normally the templates have these stored in them. I have called this out to our product team, so we're going to get that taken care of for you. So hopefully when you're doing this, it'll just run through and you won't have to hit submit. But we have the image now, and right away we convert it to grayscale, and then we flip the image, and then we resize the image. And so just looking here, this is the image that I uploaded. I turned it to grayscale so it's not quite as bright, and then I flipped the image horizontally so that you can see, so that we can just flip it. There we go. So we got flip, and then we shrink it down, of course skewing it, but just showing that we can do that image manipulation here within the bounds of the Kognitos platform. And so what I can do is I can go up here and I can see all of the other playgrounds that I've worked in earlier today. I could just as easily go back to the playground itself, and we're going to just start at the bottom and work our way up. So the contract template, this is, in my opinion, one of the more complex examples we have here. So what we're doing is we're sending in this contract, and we have this legal contract right here. If I hit expand, you can see this is one of our service agreements. So we have so we have all this documentation right here, a couple of pages, and so if I go back to the run, we'll see we get the documents lines, right? So we're getting all those, and then we're getting those as a variable so that we can use them later on, and then we're searching this document for financial risk of termination, penalty, and amount in this document, and then we're getting the citations. So it's showing, hey, here's where we found these terms. So here are the 5 citations we can see, so that you can use those as the search results. So that's setting the variable the search results, and so here we're doing a number of ask concierges, right? So we're using it to reformat the date. Not something that has to be done with GPT, but can be done. And then we're also looking for the payment timeline. What's the payment timeline that's listed in the contract? It's 60 days. We want it to provide a number. And so the termination risk, we ask that as well. And here it says remaining $800,000 due at completion, and any unreimbursed expenses. So all this can be sent off in an email where the message is the termination risk. So we have defined this as the termination risk. We send that off with the subject. So a couple of things I want to point out here. So whenever we see ask concierge for the reformatted date, the payment timeline, the termination risk, what we're doing here is we're doing the ask concierge. We're performing this operation, and then the answer, which is going to be the task or the question, the answer to the task or the question is going to be this variable. So for example, the termination risk in this case is this, right? So just calling that out there. So now that I've shown you the contract, how the contract template works, let's flip over to the Excel automation. So in the Excel example, what we're doing is, let me pull up this Excel file. We have this complicated Excel sheet, and so it's got a couple of different tables. And it's worth noting that in Excel, a table is a different construct than what we're calling it here. When we say table in this context, we're talking about a range that's defined by a certain headers, right? So it's not like a table in terms of Excel, which is actually a different thing. And so in here, what we're going to do is we're going to get the file and open the sheet at the file. What that's doing is opening the first sheet. And then we're getting the sheet's table whose first header is product name and whose last header is total amount. So we're actually describing where to grab that from. So here we can see product name and total amount right there. So we're picking up this range. And then we're setting that as the product table. So if we click here, we'll be able to see we have total amounts completely blank, and we have all the product names here. We can go back to the run, and we're picking up the table whose first name is QA number and last header is cost center. So let's go ahead and get over to that. So here it is, QA number and cost center. So we're picking up a little small table over here. So two separate ranges on the same sheet. We're picking those up as two separate tables in Kognitos. And then we're removing so in the product table, what we're doing is, so you'll notice here, let me show you up here when we pull this out. The product table, some of the payer numbers are blank, right? And so what we do down here is remove the product table's rows whose payer number is blank. And so this, if we go into the facts, we should see the product table no longer has any payer numbers that are blank. There we go. And then I believe this will be the full. These are the rows that have been removed. Something that we don't normally pay attention to, I suppose. And so we've removed those, and then we rename the product table's region to region code. And here you see just this check mark indicating, yep, did it, thank you. And so you can, if you click in further to the facts, you can see the product table, the renamed region, the renamed column, or you can just simply say the product table, as we've done here, and then Kognitos will display that table here, and so we'll see region code now instead of region. And so we'll get the cost table's first column values. So in the cost table, what we're doing, let me just pull up that sheet again. So we're getting the first column values, so right here, and you see those right there. So you can essentially get the column by an index by saying first, second, or third, or the name of the column, and then we can assign those as the QA numbers, assign those as a variable. So from here, you could actually loop through the QA numbers, do a number of different operations. But for right now, we're just going to convert the product table to an Excel, which is simply taking that product table that I showed you earlier up here, where we renamed the region to region code, got rid of the blank payer numbers, and then we can send that email off to a defined user. And so here, this is the same email style that we've shown previously. So this is sending an email using the native email client in Kognitos with the attachment, the Excel as an attachment. We're renaming it as products. And so really to use this, you would just change this user at email to your name, or we can put in a variable here. Either way is completely acceptable. So now that is the Excel template process or playground. So now let's move on to the, we did the image one already. We're going to move on to invoice processing. All right, so invoice processing, I suppose I didn't do this one, so let's go ahead and rerun it. So let me go ahead and grab this. Boom, boom, boom. Let me go ahead and grab the file here. So we're going to go ahead and upload this. And so I'm going to drag and drop. Here it is, and submit. So now what we're doing is we're getting the document, we're getting the document's file name, right? So the whole file name, and then we're getting the document's stem. So this is, I wanted to show you this because it's helped me a number of times. The stem is essentially the file name minus the file extension. Tremendously helpful when you're logging the file names. And then we're extracting the invoice number, attempting to extract the invoice number, the invoice date, and the invoice total. And we're assigning those to variables, and then we're sending those off in an email. So we'll go ahead and write this in as an email. Write my email address again, Kognitos.com, and hit submit. So one thing you'll notice here is that the invoice number was actually not found. And so what we can do is we can look at this invoice, and if you look at it, it's got its challenges, right? So this looks like it's the invoice number. What we could do here is we could create a learning to compute where to find that based on the account number. So we'd look at find the account number and then go up a line and find it that way. We could do that. One other thing that I wanted to call out here is the difference in terminology that's used. So for most of my videos, you see me use get. And for this one, you'll see the word find, which functionally accomplishes the same thing, but does it a little bit of a different way. So I want to show you this. If I change this word just to get, right, and do and I did a control enter to restart it. Now it's going to start back at the line where it finished executing, and now just changing that word from find to get, now it's going to throw an exception, right? And so now it says please provide invoice number. And so what I could absolutely do is leave this right here. Actually, go back to the invoice. We can't use the exception center because this is not a process, right? So 2342222, and so I'm going to go back here, and if this was the exception center, I could simply click and highlight, but it's not. This is a playground. We're just playing with this at this point, but I can go ahead and submit that, and now we can rerun it or continue that running. So that is there is a difference there between some of these keywords, find and get, something that's worth being aware of, right? So those are all of the templates that we have available within the bounds of Kognitos with playgrounds. I'm sure there are more to come, but these will serve as fantastic examples for you as you continue with your Kognitos journey. Thank you and have a great day.